Hello guys, and welcome to a new Warno video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 1 versus 1 on death row, and I'm going to be using the 79th Guards Tank Division. I'm going to be up against Tiberius-Rancor in this one, who is using the 2nd UK Infantry Division. And this is game 3 of a best of 3 in the quarterfinals of the 2nd WARNO League Super Tournament ran by Protoss and the Simulated Divisions League. For the picks and bans in this one, I decided to ban the 5th French Armoured, Tiberius banned the 35th Guards Air Assault and the 11th Parachutiste, and ended up with the 2nd UK Infantry once again. Now, since he had heli rushed me in the previous game, I decided on the 79th as a potential counter to the heli rush. And the way that I set up my deck was with Mi-24 AAs and Su-25s so that I could potentially full commit to shutting down a helicopter start. But because it's death row, I wasn't entirely sure that he was going to actually go for that. This is a more traditional map that quite often will be played kind of very grindy across the center here. He can, of course, throw helicopters around the right-hand side or the left-hand side, but because all of the sectors are quite densely populated, it doesn't really benefit him as much to go all the way around the edge. It's not like this is a capturable sector or anything. So everything's very concentrated in the center. So it made me think that maybe he wouldn't go for a helicopter rush this time. The 2nd UK can, of course, play a normal game. It doesn't have the heli rush like he did in the last game. And in the last game, it made more sense because he's on 2 lakes and he wanted to cap my back sector so that he could do all of the side reinforcement shenanigans. Regardless, we are off, and you can see that I have led with some Razvedka Sapari, some Spetsnaz. I've got 2 Mi-8s at the start, maybe a little bit of an overinvestment into these Mi-8s, but wanted to get recon onto the sides early on just in case helicopters are going to be flying around all over the place. I've got BMP-2s on the flanks with Modostroki. I've got a Sapari RPO that's going to be trying to contest this right-hand side, which usually is quite contested. BRDM-2U to capture this sector with the Tunguska to follow up. 2 OSAs in the center to take care of enemy helicopters as well, or enemy aircraft. Modostroki Metis to try and get into a building here and provide open range HGM cover. But as you can see, it is another heli rush, and because I haven't full committed dealing with the heli rush, it's not looking good. My OSA here is going to force back one of his Harrier GR3s at least, so that's a good start. These OSAs are technically a good pick in this situation because they can one-shot Lynxes, but they're not really going to be in the right position because the majority of his Lynx AH-1s are on the right-hand side here, and all my AA is obviously in the middle. I managed to shoot down one of the Lynx AH-1 Mark 1s, and I was trying to shoot down one on the right-hand side, and I did manage to kill one, but all of the infantry is now landed, and I'm just going to go ahead and set it to the neutral perspective so you guys can see what's going on. So as all of the Lynxes retreat, I am starting to shoot them down. My Mi-8 on the right hand side is going to get taken out by the GR3. But ultimately his objective is already complete. All of the air mobiles are into very obnoxious positions that I'm going to then have to take care of. He's also got the Harrier GR3 coming in here, takes out the Spetsnaz crew, takes out the Modostroki BMP, and almost kills off the Tunguska as well. Meanwhile, the Airmobile takes out the BMP-2, so an absolutely devastating start for me and put me in an absolute hole, honestly. So yeah, the heli rush coming out once again. I wasn't actually sure if I was going to make this a dedicated video on its own or whether or not I was going to talk about this after the last game that I showed off on 2 lakes. But I thought this game would be a good opportunity to really talk about heli rushes and how to counter them and where they currently stand in the PvP and competitive communities. Because heli rushes historically have always been frowned upon. Ever since Wargame, there was the incident in my VulcanHDGaming Invitational where the tactical outplay meme was created, where when somebody got heli rushed, it became a tactical outplay because in one of my casts I called it a tactical outplay and everybody disagreed with me because I said it was potentially counterable. And since then, I have learned that there are some things that are extremely obnoxious in these games and are not necessarily fun to play against, and heli rushes are, of course, one of them. So being heli rushed in a tournament like this is sad. It was unfortunate, you know, in previous tournaments, specifically at the beginning of WARNO, I think there was even rules against having too many helicopters at the start in certain tournaments. So, yeah. Being heli rushed here, it felt bad. Osis though managed to take out Harrier. That was nice. A little bit of a sneaky play there. Did the land trick on the MI8, so the Harrier had to overcommit, and the Osis managed to shoot it down. On the right hand side here though, Emabel gets the better of the two BMPs, so I'm just kind of feeding at this point. But yeah, he's on a +7. He's managed to cap Alpha, Echo, Charlie and Bravo, and this is where hindsight comes in. So because it's such a dense map, it actually makes the heli rush better. And I think obviously Tiberius worked this out beforehand, and I probably should have anticipated because of it, because he's got a lot less distance to go compared to two ways to get to the front line. So the Lynx AH7s can make a lot more ground compared to my mechanized ground forces, and that puts me in a very difficult situation because he's going to have a defensive position with strong infantry. So the, you know, Airmobile here match up very well against normal Motostralki, particularly since I don't have them vetted, and the BMP2s can of course get one shot by the Law 80s, so it's very difficult for me to provide decent fire support with the 30 mils, which would otherwise be a decent counter. Regardless, let's talk about the heli rush a bit more. So the way that I set up my deck, the 79th Guards in this case, is I did add Mi-24 AAs and also Su-25s with the intention that if I was going to full commit to him heli rushing and fully believe that he would, then I would have bought maybe 3 Su-25s at the start of the game, a couple of Mi-24s, and tried to shoot down as many of those like helicopters before they even landed, because that's the main way that you're going to stop this from being too obnoxious. Then the Mi-24s can, if they don't score any Lynx kills and those Lynxes manage to land, they can provide, you know, their front gun support on the infantry on the ground. They can also, you know, provide the rocket fire onto those infantry, so you have something that's going to be able to kill the Airmobile once they're unloaded, because in a air rush like this, helicopter rush, there isn't much AA support apart from the Harrier GR3s. So yes, the Harrier GR3s might come along and shoot down the Mi-24s. The Su-25s would still be in the sky and be able to do strafing runs and potentially kill any other vehicles with their AT weapons, because I think I bring in the AT ones and the cluster ones. You can get rocket ones, I think, in the 39th Guards, but I figured that having the AT and cluster variants would be more useful overall if I didn't full commit to an anti-heli rush start. And well, that's basically it, you know. You've got to know that it's coming, and in this case I wasn't convinced that it was. I thought this time around Tiberius would play a bit more conventionally with the second UK, because it can be played very well conventionally, and on a map like Death Row I didn't really consider how beneficial a heli rush would be, because he basically did a frontal heli rush straight into all of my AA. You know, I took 3 AA units at the start of the game, you know, 2 Osas and a Tunguska, and I shot down 1 helicopter. So, you know, in that situation, what else are you supposed to do? The biggest problem is the AA doesn't fire fast enough. It can potentially run out of missiles. Osas are a good choice against Lynxes because they have 7 HE and they can therefore one-shot them. But because of the hills here, it actually makes it quite easy for him to land and get out of line of sight before those Osas can get enough missiles off. And the other thing is, if I were to invest in maybe Iglas instead or something like that, coming in with Jeeps, again, by the time the Iglas have unloaded, the Lynxes have unloaded. And so the Lynxes are only going to get shot down after the fact, and that's a big problem. So bringing in a bunch of SU-25s at the start of the game and killing off all of those Lynx AH-7s would have been the way to do it. But in the end, the third game of the series ended in 7 minutes and 54 seconds. The KD, not even that far off, 980 kills to 1,260 losses. Ultimately, I could have banned the second UK. That would have been a sensible choice for sure. I'm not sure why I really banned the 5th French Armoured on this particular map, because I don't think it's that good on this map. But it is a strong division, and it has a lot of good air. So, I don't know. Regardless, probably should have banned the second UK to stop Tiberius from doing this to me again. But kind of built my deck around countering it and then didn't full commit. So there is those two things that probably could have helped me counter this. But the biggest thing about heli rushes in this game is you need to know that they're coming. And if you don't know they're coming, then you will lose to them. If you anticipate them and then your opponent doesn't heli rush you, then you lose. And this is the issue that people have with heli rushes overall. Hopefully in future this will be kind of toned down. I think it's kind of ridiculous that a full 100% helicopter start actually succeeds. If I go back into the replay and we have a look at the deployment, it was 100% helicopters. So just Airmobile, Gazelles, and then the 2 Harriers. There is a Saxon CP there as well. He even cancels his SAS to bring in more Airmobiles. So this shouldn't be viable, in my opinion. And it's unfortunate that I got knocked out of the tournament because of this. Because I think in conventional fights, I probably could have taken it to Tiberius pretty significantly and potentially won, because in the first game, in a more conventional WARNO setting, I definitely did okay. But it seems like Tiberius in this case, he took advantage of the meta. Fair enough, there's a lot of money on the line in this tournament, and decided to opt for the 100% heli start. With the Harriers there. And these Harriers, basically what they're trying to do is counter anything that would try and shoot down these Lynx AH-7s. So the way that this works, and then why it works, is because even though I've got all of this AA, my OSAs are going to stop to fire at the Harrier. If I had enemy planes coming in, the Harriers would engage them. If I had Mi-24 AAs, the Harriers would engage them. And whilst that is going on, all they're doing really is buying time for these Lynxes to land. And out of all of the Lynxes that he does bring in, only one of them dies before it lands. This one I think did land, but blew up next to the infantry squad, and so it killed the infantry squad as well. But yeah, overall he's got a massively better position here, and the infantry that have been dropped off have decent enough launchers that they can kill pretty much anything, including heavy tanks with a 20 penetration there. So yeah, tough game. And Tiberius went on to win the tournament in the end. I don't know how to really feel about it, but congratulations to him, I guess, for going all the way. That technically means I was second, right? Hopefully this will be fixed in the future, because it is not a fun way to play the game. And I believe there was a game in the final where both players actually decided to do helicopter rushes at the start, and the game just becomes absolute chaos. It's not an interesting game to watch when that happens. It's not a good game. I much prefer when things are as they should be. But then again, maybe people like playing it like this. Let me know what you think in the comments about helicopter rushes and how you feel about them, and whether or not you think this is a heli rush or not, because technically it's not a... Well, It is more like a conventional heli rush in wargame standards, because the old wargame one used to be lynxes actually that came in with the blowpipes, and what they used to do was like have a wall of lynx AH7s that would like land. The lynx AH7s had rockets and they would kill everything, and then the blowpipes would just be like an abundance of AA all of a sudden right deep in the front line, killing everything that would potentially counter the lynxes. In this case, the lynxes obviously do go down, but the armor built that are in position are extremely difficult to counter, and I think the only real way to counter this kind of gameplay is by having strong helicopters yourself, to be able to exploit the fact that there isn't AA with the armor builds at the start, and also have significant fighters that can deal with the Harriers so that they don't shoot down the helicopters that would be countering the armor build. Anyway, I'm going to stop going on about it. It is unfortunate that I got knocked out of the tournament this way. That's all I will say. I do feel a little bit cheated by it, but alas, it happened. Tiberius won. He takes the series 2-1, moves on to the semi-final, and then moved on to the final after defeating Lathans, of all people. He actually 2-0'd Lathans in the semi-final very, very quickly as well. So yeah, maybe he just had this patch on lockdown. Strong player. And good game to him. That's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.